There are moments in life when the noise quiets, the world stills for just a breath, and something inside you stirs, a deep feeling that this moment is unlike any other. This is one of those moments, not because it is grand or filled with fireworks, but because it carries weight, urgency, and truth. If you're reading this, it's not by accident. You have been chosen, not by me, not by chance, but by something far more meaningful, your own potential. This is your urgent message. You have one day to listen, not because your time is literally expiring in 24 hours, but because we do not have the luxury of forever. Life doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for our fears or excuses. It doesn't slow down because we're uncertain or because we're not ready. Every single second it's moving, and so must you, because you, my friend, are the chosen one. No, not in the fantasy sense, not in the way stories talk of magic and destiny carved in stars, but in the most powerful way. You have been chosen by your own life to do something with it. You were born with talents, perspectives, and a fire within you that nobody else has in quite the same combination. And this message isn't about motivating you with cliché slogans. It's about waking you up. It's about pulling you out of the fog of someday and dragging you into the urgency of now. There are people who talk about doing great things. Then there are people who feel the tug in their chest, that ache that says, I'm made for something more. But even among those who feel it, only a few ever act on it. Most bury it. They silence the voice. They smother the fire because the world convinced them that surviving is safer than thriving. But that's not you. It can't be, because you're here, because something led you to this moment. This is your call to rise. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Right now, you may be overwhelmed. You may not know where to start. But none of that matters as much as this. You start. That's the one decision that separates those who live on purpose from those who drift through life waiting for a sign. This message is your sign. The wait is over. The excuses expire here. The delay stops here. And if you're wondering if this message is too dramatic, if it's too intense, I'll tell you the truth. It's not intense enough. Because the pain of a wasted life, of unlived potential, of knowing you could have and didn't, that is a pain far more unbearable than discomfort in this moment. You don't get another you. You don't get to rewind time. What you do with this one day, this one decision, has the power to define decades. You are not too late. You are not too far behind, but you must stop waiting. You must stop believing the lie that someday is coming. Because someday is the enemy. It's the graveyard of dreams. It's where potential goes to die. So here's the truth. You've been chosen to hear this message because you're meant to break free. You're meant to live with fire, with vision, with intention. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. Because you know, deep down, even if you haven't admitted it yet, you were never meant for average. You were never meant for silence, for invisibility, for comfort at the cost of meaning. This is your wake-up call. You've got one day to listen now. Are you ready? You are not where you are by mistake. Everything in your life has been preparing you for this exact moment, even the parts that felt like failure. Especially those parts, because in the hardest moments, in the days when you questioned if you were good enough, strong enough, or even worthy enough, those were the moments that carved your resilience. You were not being punished, you were being shaped. Like iron forged in fire, the pressure you endured was proof that you are capable of withstanding what most people cannot. That voice inside that says, you're made for something more. It's not lying. It's just been waiting for you to trust it. But for too long, we've been conditioned to ignore it, to play small, to dim our light so others feel comfortable. We're taught to follow, not to lead ourselves. But you don't need anyone's permission to step into who you really are. You just need the courage to decide, because greatness doesn't announce itself in a fanfare. It whispers, and you have to be still enough, bold enough, ready enough to hear it. What most people don't realize is that their best life doesn't happen by accident. It happens by choice, one uncomfortable, inconvenient, intentional choice at a time. You don't build a life of purpose overnight. But you start by refusing to waste another day. That's why this message is urgent, because when you delay purpose, you invite regret, and the truth is, regret never shows up when you're struggling toward your goal. It shows up when you realize you never even tried, look around you, How many people do you know who are truly alive, not just breathing, not just clocking in and out, but alive, full of energy, of clarity, of a reason for waking up every morning that's bigger than themselves? Very few, because most people have bought into a lie. That success is external, that purpose is rare, that only the lucky ones get to live meaningful lives. But I'm telling you now, the truth is the opposite. Purpose isn't rare, it's just underused. And success isn't luck. It's discipline, clarity, and perseverance. You've got one day to listen, because today is the day your excuses stop sounding logical. Today is the day your potential gets louder than your fear. And if that thought scares you, good, that fear you feel, that's the indicator that you're standing at the edge of your comfort zone, and nothing great ever grows there. Comfort is the slow death of greatness. The longer you stay in it, the more your dreams wither, but courage wakes them up. So you might be wondering, what now? What do I do with this message, with this fire in my chest? You act. You don't need a 5-year plan. You don't need all the answers. What you need is a decision to no longer accept the life that's good enough. When you were meant to create something extraordinary, you don't become the chosen one by waiting to feel ready. You become the chosen one by choosing to show up, choosing to try, choosing to rise even when everything in you wants to stay down. You see, the real difference between people who thrive and people who don't isn't talent. It's not education. It's not opportunity. It's the ability to decide that enough is no longer enough, that normal isn't fulfilling, that average is unacceptable. The people who change the world are rarely the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who took the hardest path and kept going. You have one day to listen, and that day is today, because you don't get to borrow belief from the future. You don't get to live off of hopes that never turn into actions. Dreams are meant to be chased, not admired from a distance, and it doesn't matter how many times you've failed before. What matters is that you rise now, because failure only wins when you stop showing up. You are the chosen one not because someone crowned you, but because something inside you refuses to die. You still want more. You still believe there's more, and that belief, that sparks your soul reminding you that you were made to lead. Not to wait for permission, but to give yourself permission to live fully, deeply, urgently. Right now, the world is in desperate need of people who are fully alive, people who have the audacity to dream in a world that celebrates distraction. People who still believe in meaning when others are chasing moments, people who show up not because it's easy, but because they know it's worth it. You don't need to have the loudest voice, you don't need to know all the steps. You just need to trust the first one. That small act of movement creates momentum, and momentum is how ordinary people create extraordinary lives. You were chosen for more, and deep down you know that. You may have ignored it, run from it, drowned it out, but it never left. That's why you can't forget it. That's why this message burns a little, because it's truth, and truth doesn't coddle you, it calls you. The time for comfort has ended. The time for clarity has begun. You have one day to listen. The rest of your life depends on it. This is the moment that separates your past from your future, not because everything changes instantly, but because you finally do. Today, you stop making excuses. Today, you stop saying, I'll get to it. Today, you stop being available for mediocrity, and in this one decision, this one powerful moment of clarity, you take back your power. Do you know what's possible when you stop doubting yourself? Everything. Every dream you've shelved. Every goal you've postponed. Every vision you convinced yourself you weren't ready for. All of it becomes available the second you believe in yourself enough to begin. Most people live their lives standing at the edge of the cliff, terrified of the fall. But what they never realize is that staying still, never jumping, is the real tragedy, because it's not the fall that kills you. It's the regret of never flying. You were born with wings, but you've been walking in circles because the world told you not to aim too high, not to dream too big, not to love too boldly. They taught you to shrink. But shrinking has only made you restless. Playing small has made you bitter. Dimming your light has only made you invisible to the world and to yourself, and now you've had enough. You must have had enough. Otherwise, this message wouldn't matter, but it does, because something in you is awake again. You don't need a perfect plan. You need relentless action. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to stop letting fear make your decisions. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more. That something is you, your purpose, your reason for being, that voice in your soul that refuses to go quiet, no matter how many times life has tried to shut it down. And yes, you will fail. Yes, people will doubt you. Yes, you will question yourself. But none of that will break you, because you'll finally be aligned with your truth. And when you're in alignment with your truth, there is nothing more powerful. There is nothing more magnetic. There is nothing more unstoppable. You don't need the world to understand you. You need to understand yourself. You need to stand in your own light and declare, I am ready. This is the day everything changes, not because the world changes, but because you do. And change, real change, is always internal before it's ever external. It begins in your mind, in your heart, in your decision to stop tolerating anything less than the life you were made for. This is your urgent message. The clock is ticking, not to create panic, but to create presence, to wake you up to the truth that life is not waiting. Time is moving with or without you, and whether you rise or remain is your decision. But understand this clearly, in the story of your life you are the author, not your circumstances, not your critics, not your past you, and if you walk away from this moment unchanged, if you ignore this message, know that nothing will get better until you do. Nothing around you will change until something inside you does, so don't waste this moment, don't walk away from it. Don't shelf this message for another day. This is not a rehearsal. This is not theory. This is not inspiration for someday. This is your life. You have one day to listen, and that day is today. So rise, stand tall in your truth. Speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for. Move forward with the energy of someone who understands what's at stake. Be relentless, be bold. Be the one who chose to live fully, without apology, without permission, and without delay. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were born to lead, and now that you know, there's no going back. You are the chosen one. Act like it.